the Hotel Indigo in downtown Atlanta, their restaurant is called The Drafting Table. And basically the story is about John Portman, who was a big real estate developer in many cities, but especially Atlanta. So if you look around the skyline, you can easily identify most of his buildings are very kind of space agey, a little bit abstract. So this one's called the Portman Panache in his honor. And it's more of a fall one, but it was rainy here yesterday, so I feel like we're going to go with it. So so it calls for mezcal, Grand Marnier, or your orange liqueur of choice. I got Grand Marnier, and then apple cider. So in the book I mentioned it'd be great to be from, one of Georgia's cider operations or orchards, but we're not really in the season right now. So right. I went with what was at the grocery store.
Yep. That's kind of what I have.
Now I'm getting ready. Okay. So I've just got my shaker. Okay, and I'm filling with ice. And then it's going to start with 2 ounces of mezcal. So in my little jigger guide, you can do 1.5 ounces too. That's a standard pour, but it's totally up to you. I'm going to go for 2. But it's filling it to the top basically of if you have one like this. And I went with this brand because it was at my store, my local store.
I'm kind of cheating. I didn't have mezcal, so I am using tequila, this brand.
It'll work just as fine, works just as well. So that's going to go in there. And then I'm going to do, I believe, 1/2 ounce of Grand Marnier or orange liquor of your choosing. And that's the other side here. Okay, and then I've got a big container of the cider, and that is going to be 1.5 ounces. So basically just to balance out the booze you already put in there. All right, just so it's cold and ready to go. All right, there we go. And I have my glass here, and I got a big ice cube, but really whatever you've got is fine.
I have the big ice cube as well. I like your glass though, that's fun.
Thank you. I collect a lot of vintage glassware, so this is a favorite. Nice. And I'm just gonna, hold on, multitask I say. I'm gonna strain it over the ice. Okay. And then in terms of garnish, I kept it pretty simple. The recipe called for just like a dash of cinnamon if you have it. It is a fall drink really, so I'm just gonna kind of very gently and not dump the whole thing in there. Then I picked a couple of edible flowers from my yard, and I'm gonna put those on the top because it's pretty. So there's my cocktail. It's got a little flower on top. So cheers.
Cheers. Mine is less pretty than yours.
You know what? It drinks just the same. Lovely.
That is very like fall flavors. I like that.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that was named for it's John Portman, right?
John Portman, yeah. So, I guess they have been at various points in time, each the tallest building in Atlanta, and then they just keep getting overtaken. But his really famous ones, the Marriott Marquis, and it's kind of, it's like, regular building, and then it kind of blooms out a bit at the bottom.
Yeah.
But it has a really pretty atrium and really busy with the kind of like convention crowd and everything. And yeah, it's a big hangout, as are basically all of his hotels, hotel bars and things. So
that one, I think Has been in a lot of like movies and TV shows as well.
Yes. Yeah, that
Yeah.
hotel was in one of the Hunger Games. I want to say one of the Marvels as well. Yeah, so that particular hotel is big with the filming set,
Yeah.
the Hollywood crowd.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So what made you want to write this particular history?
I write a fair bit about, drinks and travel and things, and that's something that's promoted so much in other places. Like obviously New Orleans is very well known for its kind of drinking culture. Even other countries. I was just in Tokyo, like they have such a big drinking history. And Atlanta has that history. It's just that most people don't really know anything about it. You kind of just think about, oh, blue laws and prohibition and all of these kind of things. But alcohol has had a presence in the city since before it was a city, when it was just the end of the railroad line. Like, people would get off the train and just stumble right into a bar. So, yeah, that
Yes, you
was
do.
kind of what made me think about it.
Yeah. And how did you go about kind of researching the full history? Because you start in what, the 1600s or 1700s?
Yeah, the first mention is actually when the Georgia colony was established. Obviously, the state's history goes back further, big indigenous presence, but before that. But yeah, as soon as the English colonists landed in what's now Savannah, they were drinking and getting into trouble and all that. And about maybe like 100 years later, Atlanta was kind of more established as a city. So I really relied on books, lots of books. There's some really good records at the Atlanta History Center, and my library near where I live has a great archive of books as well. So really, really helpful. Big stack of books was the main way, and then
Yeah.
we get kind of closer to the modern times. The drinking history that I actually lived through. That there's so many great articles online. The city's publications have covered them very deeply. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution and Atlanta Magazine, Creative Loafing, all of those publications have really done a lot of oral histories on the famous drinking spots in Atlanta.
Yeah, I like that you kind of start the book with your personal history of drinking in Atlanta. I really enjoyed those anecdotes and kind of
Yes,
seeing like the progression.
yes, there's lots of those. Yeah, I moved back to Atlanta after college and was hanging out at bars basically right after that.
As
And
you
my
do.
family has, my family doesn't really drink, so it's kind of been funny to hear about what places they had memories of. My grandparents had interactions with moonshiners, and the drinking age changed when my mom was in college. So a lot that happened within the book, my family has memories of. So that was kind of fun to talk to them about.
Yeah. That's awesome that they have those memories even though they're not big drinkers. That's pretty fun.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you have any favorite stories that you kind of learned about while you were writing the book?
Yeah, I think there's just so many threads between all the different characters in the book. So, like, the inventor of Coca-Cola worked with this pharmacist, and he worked with this doctor who did like the first, I don't know, transplant or used the first use of anesthesia. Like, it's just, there's a thread through everything. This guy that opened this grand hotel, now there's a restaurant named for it that's won all these awards for its cocktails. So it's just a lot of through lines throughout the whole book. And really the people are what make it such an interesting city in terms of drinking. Like, the first mayor was from this pro alcohol party, and his rival was from the like moral, like, we do nothing wrong kind of party. So later when the moral party won, the other guy's supporter shot off a cannon at his store. So just there's just so many crazy stories and crazy people within this book in the best way, crazy in the best way.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of funny when I was kind of reading through it. There's the moral party, and then the other party was called the Rowdy Party. And that
Yes.
just cracks me up, the
Yeah,
names.
they had no qualms about who they were.
Yeah.
And rowdy is kind of a term that has come back in Atlanta. There's our soccer team has a big presence, and different supporter groups use that rowdy term, like rowdy and proud, and so that's kind of a fun tie in there as well.
Nice. Um, so you, I assume, got to drink quite a bit while researching this book. Do you have any like favorite Atlanta distilleries or I
So
guess
many.
bars or anything?
Yeah, so many. I think I was actually at a distillery over the weekend called Distillery of Modern Art, and they're just doing so many cool things. They've got every product is really thought through, and they have gin, they have bourbon, they have an amaro that I really enjoyed, and actually a peach vodka that I'm now kicking myself for not putting in a lot of recipes, because I just for summertime like peach ice cream with some peach vodka would be so good.
Absolutely.
But really, the bars are just so fun here, and I think there was a period in like I don't know, the early maybe 2010s ish where everyone's taking cocktails really seriously, and it's the fancy ice, it's the different glassware, it's all this stuff, which is great. But now we've kind of turned a corner where like let's just make good drinks and have fun with it. So there's all these bars that are there's one I'm writing about now that has this it's a punch bowl drink, but it's served in a giant ceramic cheeseburger. It's called a cheeseburger in paradise. I talked to another that's serving these like old fashioned pitchers, but in these like old school like Pizza Hut plastic pitcher. Like just like everything's fun now, like we kind of went through a hard time in 2020 and after that, and I think people are just they want good drinks and they want to have fun with it, and we don't want to be so serious. So I think that's what I really enjoyed about kind of checking out some of the bars I had been to before, but kind of giving them a revisit as well was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you kind of going off of that, do you have a favorite drink that's like kind of your go-to?
I have so many. I was like such a margarita girl in my 20s, and I still love a margarita. But now I'm on a really big Negroni kick. Like I'm very into vermouth all of a sudden. I'm really into bitter stuff. I don't know when that happened, but I don't know, maybe turning a corner in late 30s, I'm just into bitter over sour. But yeah, a lot more brown liquor in my life these days than there was previously. So that's probably a Negroni is the main one right now. But I love beer, I love wine, I love it all. So
Yeah. And with Negronis, do you make those at home more often than you drink them out or vice versa?
it's probably 50-50. I have a fairly well-stocked bar, so I do make them at home. I make Negronis and Manhattans a fair bit. Yeah, I just like experimenting too. I have a little backyard tiki bar set up, so I just like playing around. I've never really been a professional bartender. I mostly poured beers. Like that was the extent of my working in bars. But yeah, just have fun and try different ingredients, and yeah, just trying to enjoy it.
Well, thank you so much for chatting with us today and for making a drink with us. This has been pretty
Yeah,
fun. I have a feeling this is going to be one that I make quite often, especially now that I have all the ingredients right now.
yeah. So
Again, this is Caroline Eubanks. She is publishing A Boozy History of Atlanta, which will be available in April. So definitely keep a lookout for her and her new book.
thank you.